Hamzambo family, and welcome to the 54 Corresponding Show on the Black Hot Fire Network. I just want to say karibuni sana to everyone that is tuning in, and of course, even those who have not been with us and are just joining us for the first time. I just want to say that you are actually in the rightful place. My name is Pikes, and this is a 54 Corresponding Show. And in case you're wondering what is a 54 Corresponding Show all about, it's actually correspondence from all the 54 countries on the beautiful continent of Africa, which we also do call the motherland. How are you doing? How is your morning now coming up? It's actually 9 minutes past 1 p.m. in Nairobi, and it happens to be a very, very warm afternoon. I do not know what the kind of a situation that you do have weather-wise in your place. But nonetheless, if you want to enjoy a little bit of the sun, you are very, very much welcome to this side of the world, which is Nairobi, Kenya. And of course, on the Black Hot Fire Network, our goal and purpose is really to create a platform to connect our Black people globally, whether be it you are in the Caribbean, whether be it you are in the States, whether be it you are in South America, wherever you might be as a Black person. Really, the goal with the Black Hot Fire Network is to connect our people globally, and of course also create a collective African consciousness. You know, we always do say that united we stand, but divided we fall as a people, and also to awaken our people. You know, there's a lot happening, and especially in this particular time, there is so much happening, and we do find it important to play our small role in terms of getting to awaken our people. Sean Scott, thank you so much for joining us. He's saying good morning, Spikes. Salute to the melanated family out there. Salute to you too, Sean Scott. It's actually early for you. I think it's too early for you, but nonetheless, I probably think you're getting ready to go to work. But of course, I'm grateful that you have taken the time to just check in on us and see what's going on, what's good with Africa. And of course, there are people who do say what a Guan Africa. Really, the people from the Caribbean, they would actually just say what a Guan Africa, which means what is going on Africa. And I'm here to inform you on what is going on across the wonderful African continent, the motherland. And now, of course, before we get into that, I want to remind us that the Black Hot Fire Network is organizing an African tour to Tanzania. And this is slated to take place from the 12th of April this year and till the 27th of April this year. You are not too late to join us on that particular trip. It's not too late. And of course, you can still make plans to join us on that particular tour. And it will really, really be interesting, an eye-opener as we get into Tanzania and discover the spirit of the true African Renaissance. We shall be touring Dar es Salaam. We shall also be touring Zanzibar, which is a beautiful island. And of course, before we did have the name Tanzania, these were two separate parts. We did have Tanganyika, and then we did have Zanzibar, and then they were combined into one republic, which is now known as Tanzania. We shall be talking about Tanzania a little bit later on the show, and I shall be letting you know why Tanzania is on the spotlight, and how this happens to be coming from some remarks of the country's leader, who is known as John Magufuli. We shall be getting into that conversation. But I was asking you, I would love to know, where are you tuning from? And of course, how is the weather situation right there? And what are you up to on a wonderful Thursday as this? People do call it the throwback Thursday. And there is always a lot of shenanigans going on, especially on social media, that I have to do with that throwback Thursday. But what I have seen trending right now, which is really a bit nonsensical, but people are looking for a reason to smile, or people are looking for a reason to keep themselves a little bit entertained and excited. I have seen the silhouette challenge, and I was just thinking to myself, who the hell came up with this silhouette challenge? I don't know if you have seen it on your Twitter or on your social media trending. It's actually the silhouette challenge, where people are doing dances and then putting a filter on the dances, and some people are getting crazy with it. For some reason, I do not like to get onto those challenges myself. I find it to be a bit, it's more of, what do you call this? The group mentality. It's more of peer pressure, if you ask me. If you find people, succumbing to the pressure to be part of these challenges. Every other moment you wake up, you will find there's this challenge, there's that dance challenge, there's that other challenge. Especially for the millennials, it's crazy. There's a lot of pressure to succumb to these challenges and be part of them. DM, you're saying peace, power, and protection, brother. No vaccines. Yes, I am with you on that, brother DM. And Ricardo says time is precious. And of course, this is the same message that Ricardo has been sharing with us regarding, the people to get back together. As a people, we can only be restored once we are together in unity. I think the restoration, of course, also starts with people getting understanding and coming together and seeing the need for restoration. Some people, if you ask them, Ricardo, and I'm addressing Ricardo, sometimes you might talk about restoring a people, and this is what we are also all about on the Black Hot Fan Network, having a restoration and people uniting. But even as you're talking about restoration, you get to realize that some people do not even realize there is a need for restoration. Some minds are way far too gone, and with the brainwash, we still have, especially people on the continent, who are, of course, plugged onto the idea of these, someone else coming in to sort out our problems. And that is the biggest challenge that you have had. And of course, I do see what you're talking about, and I do agree that it's very important. It's very important, of course, to be restored as a people. But we have to start the conversation about restoration and how we go about it. And you're saying our children all over the world will do this, try imposing eminent economic restoration of $100,000 per year per family for the next 20 years. I cannot see the whole of the text. But yes, I'm with you on that particular need for us to be restored as a people. And of course, there is also that particular challenge where people are waiting for someone else to come and do the reparations. We can also be able to organize ourselves and also, be able to empower ourselves. Of course, restoration and reparations are important. I do not want to diverge from that particular quest. It's very, very important that we ask for the reparations because they are due to us. That is a debt. And of course, from the way we have been disenfranchised as a Black people. But it's also important to have that conversation also starting from our people and starting from the point of realization that we need to unite. You cannot have reparations for one individual. You cannot have reparations for two individuals. You cannot have restoration and reparations for two individuals or one individual, whereas it's a whole, race of people that have actually been done the wrong. And of course, it's very, very important. And I see that you're suggesting something with that. I'll also get to check into it. Sean Scott is saying, yesterday I clowned people who believed Hari Krishna was wrong, although I might not subscribe to any particular religion. I should should respect others for their belief. I do not know how that particular conversation came up. Sean Scott, I'm off. I do not know how that particular conversation came up. But yes, I cannot force anyone to ascribe to my belief. Of course, everyone has a different viewpoints, and of course, we know that religion has played a very, very big role towards towards our decline as a people. And of course, it's still important, really, even if you do have, all those, nuts, religious nuts, coming up and telling you this and that. It's just really important and just simple to just respect their beliefs and their opinions. Maybe at some point they will do their research, or they will have their own reawakening process, and they will get to realize what it is, what kind of a lie they have been following, regardless of what kind of religious, belief that they choose to ascribe to. DM, you're saying two people in my extended family have gotten the shot, shaking my head. I believe you have told them, or I believe at some point they have been told about what is coming, and they know DM, and therefore some people are way far too gone to be rescued. That is what I believe. We can as well come on the show and talk about some of the research that has been done, and some of the things that have been exposed to do with the vaccines. And then we might go ahead and even make a song, talk about it, a whole week on what is happening. And of course, people staying as far away as they can from these vaccines. And you will still find some people acting like sheep and taking themselves to the news. I don't know. There's nothing you can do. I think you've done your part, DM. I believe there's done your part. I believe you've done your part. And also that is the same thing that is happening with the president of Tanzania. He has actually expressed his belief and his concern in regards to the vaccines. But right now, the thing is, even as the president of Tanzania is talking about this particular matter and trying to caution the people on what to expect, on how to act accordingly, you do realize that he is also facing a lot of opposition. This is the president of Tanzania. He is also facing a lot of opposition. And this opposition is not coming from even just inside Tanzania. It's also coming from external. This morning, I was listening to some conversation. I happened to be on the radio. And the people were saying that, Magufuli, these are actually Kenyans who are saying that Magufuli is actually giving the wrong direction to the people of Tanzania. And people who are coming against him. People are coming against him. And these are the same people that he is trying to rescue and are saved from this kind of a menace, or this kind of a danger that is looming. Yet, these are the same people, we are the same people eager to crucify him. And even the Tanzanians, you will still find, of course, that some Tanzanians also opposed to, what his sentiments are regarding the issue of staying away from the vaccination. And of course, the Tanzanian president has warned the health ministry against rushing to adopt the vaccines, suggesting the vaccines may not be safe or even effective, which is actually correct. And I was saying also, there has been a big pressure on these companies manufacturing the vaccines. For example, Pfizer, the modern vaccine company, the company that is manufacturing the modern vaccine. And what you happen to realize, for example, if there is the capacity to produce maybe 100,000 doses daily, and then there is a demand which has been put, and there is exerted pressure which says that perhaps you want 600,000 doses daily, then something, of course, is bound even to go wrong. And not just even going wrong in terms of that particular aspect. And even the process in which these vaccines were developed, it was rushed, for me, I do believe. And now, of course, there is also the agenda to minimize the population. And we have talked about these on our prior episodes of the 54 Corresponding Show and also on the Africa Today Show. But on the speech yesterday, he expressed his doubt about the vaccines, which, of course, are being produced by Western countries. As it is still right now, we do not have any African country producing its own vaccine. We do not have that any African country producing its own vaccine. And DM, you saying there's something very wrong. There is so much coercion and a bribe to take these experimental shots. What does getting a stimulus check have to do with getting a shot? I was saying earlier that they might try to tie in these two. But going back into Tanzania, I was saying that this is a man, the only man in the African continent who is being attacked for sharing his thoughts, or of course sharing his opinion, and standing his ground and trying to protect, his people. All these other African leaders, for example, if you go to the South African government, the South African government is really eager and even begging on its knees to get these vaccines. It doesn't care whether they are being produced. It doesn't care. It doesn't care if these vaccines are safe. It doesn't care. At the end of the day, the president there, Cyril Ramaphosa, is on the exact contrary, on the exact opposite side of the president of Tanzania. And we know that that is a president who has already been bought and paid for, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. And the president here was talking about the development of these vaccines. He said if the white man was able to come up with the vaccinations, then vaccinations for AIDS would have already been brought, and tuberculosis would be a thing of the past. Vaccines for malaria and cancer would have been found. This is according to John Magufuli, who directed this particular order to the Ministry of Health to adopt a vaccine only after it has been certified by Tanzanian experts. I was saying so far there has not been any African country, there has not been any African country which has actually developed its own vaccines. And what is also happening, there is also, I was talking about this other president, there is also this other president who is busy down on his knees, and this is the president of South Africa, always going against the hard. Yes, he is actually the one who is ready, and of course there is a price to pay. There is a price to pay. Right now he has been labeled all sorts of names. He has been labeled as ignorant. He has been labeled as defiant. He has been labeled the president of Tanzania. He has been called all sorts of names. But I would rather, the only problem the only thing that actually hurts the most, or the only thing I see to be, the most disheartening for me, when you go out there and you are against the hard, you realize that you own the same people that you are trying to help, the same people that you are trying to rescue by having them reason before they go or make any kind of a decision which would actually harm their lives. These are the same people that will actually now come out and label you as ignorant, or label you as uninformed, or label you as all these other things that they label you as. For example, let me also use the same example of Harriet Tubman. I believe when she was trying to, rescue her people and bring freedom to her people, there were still some of the people who are, who are backstabbing her and are saying that perhaps she shouldn't have done so. And these are the same individuals you're trying to rescue and give freedom to. And they will say that you are not doing the right thing. You are not, maybe perhaps you should have done this and that other thing. And, they're the same people you're trying to save, are the same people, who will be nailing you and crucifying you. But nonetheless, I wanted to draw a sharp contrast, because what is happening is that we also do have the president of South Africa, who has been bending over, and, he'll do anything. And he was saying Africans are struggling to access the vaccines that were tested on them. In the first place, yes, this is not just in South Africa. Many South Africans went out there, and I believe even at some point we were sharing a video of about 2,000 volunteers who decided to go out there and be the guinea pigs for these vaccines. And earlier this week, the president, who is Cyril Ramaphosa, warned against the vaccine nationalism. But let me also ask you something. It's very, very stupid. Let me just call it what it is. For any president, or for any leader for that particular matter, it would be very, very, not just stupid, but also hypocritical for any leader to go out there and say that these vaccines were tested on us. We gave ourselves up as a guinea pigs for you to come out and test these vaccines on us. And therefore, we also want, we are demanding that, you give us, we get also a share over these vaccines. This is what now he was saying. But what you get to realize is that at the end of the day, he should have known when he offered these people to be used as a guinea pigs, there wasn't any kind of a gain. It's not about the South African people. I don't believe it has to do with the African people. It only has to do with the African people, only when it's benefiting these other European powers, or these other Asian nations. That is the only time you'll have a conversation that of course puts the African on the table at the end of the day. And he's the one, I think he's of course begging for these vaccines, because he already knows he has already been bought and paid for. He has already been bought and paid for. And of course, if anything, if these vaccines at the end of the day were to be brought with a COVAX program, I was saying that Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya, being some of seemingly industrialized African countries, should be very, very worried over what is happening with the COVAX program, because you shall be told, okay, this is a humanitarian assistance mission, and we are giving you this amount of doses, for example, 40 million that had been quoted for Nigeria. and other amounts of doses that have been quoted for different countries, which are supposed to come in form of aid. But we need to think carefully. If you're being given something for free, you also ought to rethink it and realize that it's only for free when you are the product. If anything is for free, then you are actually, you are actually the product. And I was saying the Honorable Minister Rui Falakan warned an African family not to take the vaccines last July. I guess they would talk bad about him too. There are people dying from these vaccines. It's very, very much important that people get to wake up and realize what is happening. Sean Scott is saying, I'll see you in back later on. I need a little sleep. Get yourself some rest. Sean Scott, get yourself some rest, brother. We shall, you can check it out later also on the same channel. Have yourself a wonderful rest. Going on from that, I just wanted to highlight something that has been happening a little bit over deviation. Of course, there has been a cyclone. There has been a cyclone that has hit Southern Africa. And of course, there has been a lot of devastation from this particular one. And what has been happening, really, is that if you go into different African countries in the southern part, you will find a lot of devastation. Let me share these with us. And there has been, of course, many people that have been left. Many people have actually been left homeless. Many people have actually been left homeless from all these devastation. And let me share these with us briefly on what is happening. If the link doesn't work, go to the Radical Sister channel. They want 3 billion. Let me share these as well. I will be sharing that briefly. DM, I saw that particular video. I will be sharing it briefly right here on the show. But let me take you a little bit to South African as well. There has been a lot of devastation, as I mentioned. There has been a lot of devastation, and so many people, thousands of people, being left home in Southern Africa. Because of the effect of this storm, which has been known as the Eloise. The Eloise has hit South Africa, and it has hit them hard. From what you can see from this video, it's really, really sad. It's really, really sad on what we are reporting. And half a dozen of people have been killed, and thousands have lost their homes in Mozambique in the wake of the tropical cyclone Eloise. It compounds the problems of an area that was already devastated by 2 superstorms in 2019. You remember a Cyclone Idai? I shared about Cyclone Idai right here on the 54 Correspondent Show. Also, as Africa races to find ways to keep its progress on attack list while tackling with the obstacles of the COVID-19. Let me share this video briefly, and I'll also share the other video from the Radical Sister on what is happening with the extermination mission of our people. About 3 billion to be taken out.
Thanks for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, there are at least half a dozen deaths and thousands of people lose their homes in Mozambique in the wake of tropical cyclone Eloise. It compounded the problems of an area that was already devastated by 2 superstorms in 2019. Also, as Africa races to find ways to keep its progress on track whilst also dealing with the obstacles caused by the pandemic, the continent's being encouraged to strengthen its digital transformation. And communities in Congo-Brazzaville face the arduous task of fetching their water from local wells after taps run dry because of water shortages.
And of course, I get to worry about the issue of water shortages in Congo, but I'll talk about that some other time. I was saying there has been a lot of devastation that has hit, most of these particular places. You're saying my brother's mother-in-law name is Alois. She's one of the people who got the show. Damn. Now we do have this cyclone in in Southern Africa, and even parts of some national parks have been flooded. For example, let me show you over this particular national park. It's known as the Kruger National Park, and the situation is really, really dire as well. Let me show you. It's the same cyclone Eloise, parts of the national park.
Okay, this is the Sabi River. Those are macadamias in the background. This is at the Emmett Weir. The flow has gone down from its peak. Cannot see the gauging level. I would expect a large.
You can see all that water, of course, is coming from that particular cyclone Eloise. And the thing you happen to realize is that we do have the same challenges in the same African nations. For example, last year we talked about the cyclone Idai, and even before they have recovered, now it's actually been hit again by the cyclone Eloise, and it's really, really disheartening. The problem is most of the time we do find we are trying to look for solutions outside Africa, instead of finding our own internal solutions on how we can deal, with some of these. And these are natural disasters. I understand. I know these are natural disasters, but then at the end of the day, it's still important to realize that we can also, do have strengthen our weather, our weather reporting systems, because if at all there was some research, that shows and tells these families that they could be evacuated and moved from some of these regions and maybe taken to safer regions, then that would of course help people be much better prepared. But look at our disaster preparedness and the disaster preparedness assistance. We are lacking in terms of that particular kind of aspect. More people in Africa want to be reactive as opposed to being proactive. Because if at all this same cyclone was to hit maybe other areas, let's talk about the US or talk about Europe or talk about other different places, you realize that people would have been much better prepared, because there is the weather reporting systems are better, and there is also research going on into strengthening those particular systems. But in Africa, we are still lagging behind. I believe there is not even proper research being put in terms of studying the changing weather patterns, because of course the weather is changing, the climate is changing, but there is still not adequate investment in terms of this area to enable Africans, or to enable the African people to study the weather, the changing weather patterns, and perhaps even be much more ready, because disaster preparedness has to be there in case we have to save lives. Perhaps these kinds of numbers that we are hearing, dozens of people who have been who have died from this particular incident, perhaps they could have been saved. They could have been saved if there was proper preparedness in terms on the side of the government, which is really what we need to do or invest more in. And nonetheless, I want to share with us the video. I think DW mentioned about this video, and of course this has to do with the same issue of the vaccines. It has to do with the same issue of the vaccines. And yes, this is on our Radical Assistance channel, but let me share this briefly. I think we also shared this yesterday, but it's important that we also get to hear and see these once again.
I want you to watch this video. Watch this video and see how evil these people are. You will hear this yourself. I just want you watch it.
AIDS, all of
it's for the purpose of sterilization and population control. There's too many people on the planet we need to get rid of. In the words of Bill Gates, at least 3 billion people need to die. So we'll just start off in Africa. We'll start doing our research there, and we'll eliminate most of the Africans, because they're deplorable. They're worthless. They're not part of this world economy. So they have their rights taken away, and they're suppressed, and they're experimented.
And the multilateral agencies and the health and regulatory so-called authorities and agencies appear in the main to have become weaponized, and appear, I again use the word appear advisedly, We're not casting judgments here. We're taking depositions, listening to expert testimonies.
Do you hear that? Do you just hear that? 3 billion Africans. And you know it's all about vaccination. You know it's all about to vaccine as many as they can so that they can make sure that all these people share.
And of course, you actually would just say, let the sleeping dogs lie, because at the end of the day, you want to tell the people what is happening. Look here, this and that is going to happen if you're not very, very careful with what kind of things that you are deciding to have injected in your body in the name of a vaccine. And the same thing has been told by the president of Tanzania. I believe he is the only president on the African continent who is not moving around, buying this narrative of the pandemic. And because he's an outlier, of course, he has been seen to be, as a force of like an ignorant leader, or as he is the one trying to, save these people from all these kinds of dangers that are looming right now. And of course, we were saying, if these vaccines, if this is not the bullet that will take out, as many Africans as possible, then something else will be devised. I have heard, I've heard about the conversation by the Bill Gates. And of course, when Bill Gates was talking about the viruses, he was actually saying that every other time, after every few years, we might also expect, you might also expect that every other year we might also be hearing about a new virus. A new virus are coming in, and of course, bringing the same kind of a devastation. And I'm saying, if at all these bullets is not the bullet you take out as many Africans, then you can still be aware that something else is also coming. Something else will also be coming. Of course, he is one of the proponents of that particular movement, the eugenics movement, and the population control movement. And Africans, especially in West Africa, we have heard about his work with the Gates Foundation. And of course, this has been in the disguise of helping people be vaccinated, maybe against polio, among other different kinds of vaccinations program. But people need to wake up. People need to wake up, not just in West Africa. I was just giving West Africa because I believe that is where the foundation and his work is mostly being done. But also, I believe this will also be extended into other parts of Africa with the same kind of pretext for humanitarian assistance and, of course, contribution to the health sector of the African continent. But nonetheless, we want to move a little bit briefly, briefly, and I'll go into the matters of what is happening with the nation of Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, which is a country that is actually also, borders South Africa. People are also deep in slumber. And I was saying yesterday that in Zimbabwe, they are arresting people even for not wearing the face mask. There was the arrest of about 10,000 people who did not wear face masks. And I just get to wonder, this is also coercion, and this is also coercion to sort of make people, push people into fear. And when people act in fear, of course, eventually what happens is that they do not make the right decisions when there is a lot of fear and there is a lot of coercion, because there is a big hand by the government controlling the people. But the private sector in Zimbabwe has called on government to expedite the rollout of the COVID vaccinations program, and is looking forward to local companies to offer help in the procurement of these critical vaccines. It also implored the government to assist the buying of the protective, the PCP and rapid antigen testing kits for as affordable as at affordable cost, as most of the farms says they are struggling. The Zimbabwean people are also going to fall into this particular pit. I think the people of Zimbabwe are also going to fall into this particular pit. One of the things that I was saying is that Zimbabwe has a very, very weak healthcare system. It has a very, very weak healthcare system. And what happens with the weak healthcare system is that these might also be exploited. These might also be exploited. When we talk about the private sector also now being involved in the vaccinations program, the private entities and companies also being involved and are being allowed for them to also be involved in the rollout of the vaccine, it means even if the healthcare system is weak, and then the government allows for the private sector also to come in and be involved with this particular COVID vaccine program, then at the end of the day, we might have people, especially in rural Zimbabwe, being brought these vaccine, which will actually also take them out. And of course, not just the vaccination program, we also heard about the sterilization. And the sterilization, of course, the numbers were big in Kenya when we did have the polio vaccinations, which did result in the sterilization of our women. And of course, these might be repeated again. The problem is history repeats itself, especially when we are not learning. History repeats itself when we are not watching. When we are not learning from what has happened, what has happened from the past. If things have happened in the past, then it means that it can also be repeated. And the problem is that Africans also forget very, very quickly. Africans also forget very, very quickly. But nonetheless, let me share briefly on this video of the video of Bill Gates, and of course, he has actually talked about funding and pledged his funding for these vaccinations program. But at the end of the day, you also have to ask yourself, why is there a lot of this is not just for free. This is not just for free.
Well, good morning. This is a day I've been looking forward to for a long time. A lot of us here have been talking over the months ahead, trying to make sure that we get everyone to show up and do absolutely the best they can for vaccination. I was a little worried when we were driving in this morning to see a lot of protesters out there on the street. And I thought, geez, what could they say about vaccines? Well, in fact, what they were saying is they love vaccines. And they were encouraging us all here to make this support. And so organizations that have gathered that.
And that is, of course, when he was talking about the matter of the vaccine. I believe that was in 2011 when he was, when he was actually making his contribution, all his pledge. And then in 2015, of course, he also said that, the people are not ready for the outbreak. And of course, this was even before the COVID-19 actually struck. And of course, the real agenda is really for total population control if people are still not aware and up to date on what is happening.
Food and water. When the nuclear attack came, we were supposed to go downstairs, hunker down, and eat out of that barrel. Missiles, but microbes. Now, part of the reason for this is that we've invested a huge amount in nuclear deterrence. But we've actually invested very little in a system to stop an epidemic. We're not ready for the next epidemic. Let's look at Ebola. I'm sure all of you read about it in the newspaper. Lots of tough challenges. I followed it carefully through the case analysis tools we use to track polio eradication. And as you look at what went on, the problem wasn't that there was a CISO who would have gone, seen what the disease was, see how far it had spread.
Of course, all the time the case studies are actually being given. Most of the case studies to do with Ebola and all these other different kinds of attacks, which have been made in the laboratory. Most of the time, it actually happens to do with Africa. For example, countries like Sierra Leone. We all remember about the cases of Ebola in Sierra Leone and also about the cases of Ebola in the DRC Congo. But nonetheless, what I just want to repeat is that Africans do forget really that rather quick. We have had this Ebola taken out as many people, and still you are expecting that we can have a trust with the same people that have been said, to construct or to make these bioweapons. And now we can also expect to have any trust with them to come back to the continent of Africa and make us, make us vaccines. That cannot happen. We cannot rely on the same people. These are big pharma manufacturing. Of course, they do stand to benefit at the end of the day. There has been said that the cost of these vaccines, of course, will be about $6 getting both shots. And it's crazy. It's crazy. People better wake up and realize what is happening. These are sellout leaders. The sellout leaders are going to get thousands of their own people killed for these pink devils. I do hope that the people can get the message right in time. Again, people can get the message right in time, all beforehand, because if not, then it's going to go down. We're going even to have more people are being taken out, not more than even just a 3 billion. Of course, who have been said to be the target right now. Nonetheless, let me take a small division. I just want to share with us what is happening in other different African countries. The effect of the COVID has been felt, and I talked about South Africa. South Africa is a nation that is also heavily reliant on the mining industry. It's also heavily reliant on the tourism sector. Right now, many African countries, especially African countries that do rely on tourism, are suffering. You know, we're talking about countries such as Seychelles and countries such as Mauritius, even places, other different places that are known to be top tourist spots. You realize right now, because of the whole situation, since last year, since April, since March last year, it has been a downward spiral for most of these different countries that are heavily reliant on tourism. But what is being done to mitigate the effects of COVID-19 on the tourism sector? The South African government has decided to launch about 1.2 billion rands for the tourism equity fund, and this is expected to help mitigate the effects of the COVID-19 on the tourism sector. Right now, people are not able to travel. And also, I believe the government is also trying to focus on trying to spur domestic tourism, because we understand, you know, South Africa is at a difficult situation because they are now talking about the mutated or the mutation of the COVID, and now they have a different strain in South Africa. But that, of course, goes hand in hand with the devastation that has been caused on the economy, not just on the tourism sector, but even in the services sector, such as the financial services sector. This is also another area that has been badly hit. The government on Tuesday launched the Tourism Equity Fund, aimed at creating an inclusive and growing tourism sector by supporting entrepreneurship and investment on the supply side of the tourism sector. Many jobs have been lost. I believe if there were people who were working as tourist guides, other people who were also working with the tourism sector, owning tour companies. What has happened is that right now, all those jobs, most of the jobs have been lost. According to the president, tourism directly accounts for 2.9 of South Africa's GDP, and 8.6 indirectly. It supports about 2.5 million direct and indirect jobs. And I'm saying all these jobs are at a very, very big risk. I think this is a good move. I think this is a sort of a good move. And maybe perhaps even other different African countries should also be focusing on how to put up a tourism equity fund to enable people to spur a bit of investment even in the sector, and also spur domestic tourism in the country. I don't know how many of us have been to South Africa. I have not been to South Africa myself, but if ever the opportunity arose for me to just see South Africa, I believe it has some of the best tourist spots. I have not been to also Egypt. I have never been to Egypt myself. But also, if I ever do get the opportunity to get to Egypt, that will also be a good look. Of course, I want to remind us at this particular point that we do have a tour to Tanzania with the Black Watch Power Network. In case you would like to join us on that particular tour, you are very, very much welcome. It's easy to get a hold of the information. Kindly email kissinewsam15@gmail.com, and once you email him, you can ask any question regarding the tour in terms of the logistics plans and other things like that. You can actually be able to get a hold of him on email. I just put it out on the screen. It's kissinewsam15. We are planning to go to Tanzania. Tanzania is the only country on the African continent that do not have a mask mandate. You can actually go about Tanzania, go about your business in Tanzania without the need for you to wear a mask. And people are not living in worry and fear. Of course, we do not dispute the fact. Even the leader in Tanzania does not dispute the fact that COVID-19 exists. He does not dispute that particular fact. But there is the important question on whether there should be the closure of every other business in every other sector because of the COVID-19. That is a very, very important question to ask ourselves, and the answer is really no. It does not warrant. It does not warrant. The numbers even do not actually add up. It does not warrant. It does not warrant the closure of everything and having people live in fear. That is, of course, lowering the vibration. And I always keep on saying there is even more. There is even more apart from population control. This whole thing with the COVID-19, there is more to that. There is a bigger agenda that does not just encompass the matter of population control, and the eugenics movement knows that. There is also something else beyond, and we need to ask ourselves all these questions. Let me share with us briefly On some of the wonderful places in Tanzania that you might also like to check out one day, we do have Zanzibar, we do have the Serengeti, we do have the Masai Mara. And if ever you wanted to go and see all these wonderful things, and especially in Zanzibar, Zanzibar has some of the best beaches, and I shall be showing you right here on the Black Hot Furniture in April. We do trust that everything will just go fine. There are some bit of shake-ups. For example, we had with the Biden talking about maybe at some point he might try to reimpose the travel restrictions, but I do hope that it doesn't get to that. I hope it doesn't get to that particular point where we're hearing about travel restrictions. Tanzania is open for travel. It's open to people going in and enjoying Zanzibar without even having to wear face masks and all these other different concerns. Tanzania is really only the country in Africa and where you can actually get to enjoy all of these. There is Mount Kilimanjaro. We shall not be ascending Mount Kilimanjaro this particular time, but maybe some other time we might get the opportunity to go and climb Mount Kilimanjaro. This is also the beautiful city of Zanzibar. This is also the beautiful city of Zanzibar. I also believe they are doing something in terms of trying to spur the tourism. And I do believe that Tanzania is not doing it. Tanzania is not just staying open just as a way to attract people into the country. I don't believe that is the case. I do believe that genuinely they do feel I do believe that they do believe that there is something going on with this, and that is why they are not just interested in just inviting people. I do believe at the end of the day they are also very, very much serious about protecting their own people. But nonetheless, let me share this video of what goes down in Tanzania and some of the best tourist spots. We shall be getting to see some of this. And we are not just going for tourism. It also has to do with getting a lay of the land and also getting to see the opportunities even for investment. It's not just about going and having fun. And of course there will be lots of fun, but you also want to explore the country and see what opportunities are there for business, what opportunities are there for resettling, what opportunities are there in other different aspects. Can people set up a company or a factory or a manufacturing concern and a business in Tanzania? We shall be looking at all these different aspects. But for the purposes of showing you some of the spots, these are some of the top 10 spots to visit in Tanzania. In April, we are hoping that we shall be able to go to Tanzania for 2 weeks from the 12th of April. You can get the information from Keith. It's keithsenior15@gmail.com.
10 best places to visit in Tanzania. Hello Displorers, welcome to another exciting video presented to you by Displore. In this video, we shall be taking you to East Africa to show you the 10 best places to visit in Tanzania. Officially the United Republic of Tanzania, it is a country in East Africa within the African Great Lakes region. It borders Uganda to the north, Kenya to the northeast, Comoro Islands and the Indian Ocean to the east, Mozambique and Malawi to the south, Zambia to the southwest, and Rwanda, Burundi, and Democratic Republic of the Congo to the west. Over 100 different languages are spoken in Tanzania, making it the most linguistically diverse country in East Africa. The country does not have a de jure official language, although the national language is Swahili. This language is used parliamentarily in debates, in the lower courts, and as a medium of instruction in primary schools. English is used in foreign trade, diplomacy, in higher courts, and as a medium of instruction in secondary and higher education. Although the Tanzanian government is planning to discontinue English as a language of instruction altogether. Approximately 10% of Tanzanians speak Swahili as a first language, and up to 90% speak it as a second language. If you are new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Travel and tourism has become an impactful part of the Tanzanian economy, and it contributed 70.5% of Tanzania's gross domestic product of $61.032 billion and employed 11.0% of the country's labor force, creating about 1.3 million jobs. Overall receipts rose from $1.74 billion in 2004 to $4.48 billion in 2013, and receipts from international tourists rose from $1.255 billion in 2010 to $2 billion in 2016. In the same year, about 1.3 million tourists arrived at Tanzania's borders, compared to 590,000 in 2005. Number 10. Selous Game Reserve. Selous is the largest game reserve in Africa, established in 1922, and covers 5% of Tanzania's total area. The southern area is a forbidden zone that is undeveloped, heavily forested, and contains a series of steep cliffs. Travelers are limited to the area north of the Rufiji River. This area of Selous Game Reserve has a large open grassland, woodland, rivers, hills, and plains. The best time to visit is July through October. The Rufiji River bisects the Selous Game Reserve and has the largest catchment area of any river in East Africa. The river is an important feature of the reserve, providing the opportunity to watch the diverse water-based wildlife. A broad range of wildlife can be found, including elephants, hippos, and rhinos, as well as buffaloes, antelopes, giraffes, warthog, wild beasts, lions, leopards, and cheetahs. The diversity of bird life in the Selous includes over this huge volcanic crater has a permanent supply of water, which draws thousands of animals who stay in this area rather than migrating. Visitors come here primarily for viewing large animals and bird watching. Thousands of animals can be seen on the crater floor, including lions, elephants, rhinos, Thompson's gazelles, and buffaloes, but wild beasts and zebras account for over half of the animals that's called Ngo.
That really look like a scene from the Lion King, but of course that is the real place. You might just go and find Mufasa. Nonetheless, I was highlighting about the matter of our tour to Tanzania, and it's very, very important. In case you are interested to join us on that particular trip, you can simply hit up Keith on his email at kissnews15@gmail.com. And like I said, it shall be from the 12th to the 27th of April this particular year. Last year, we were in Tanzania. It's not the first time that we are going to Tanzania. Last year, we were in Tanzania. That was in March. But nonetheless, our trip was cut short because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And, the borders, there was of course, the talk over the borders are being shut. And, we did not want to be, to be shut. We just, we don't want to be much trouble. But nonetheless, I want to share with us briefly something else. Of course, this is a 54 corresponding show. And like I said, this is a show where we get to discuss different matters across the beautiful African continent. Some of the time, you will hear so many negative stories. You will hear about so many negative stories coming, from the continent of Africa. But it's still important to realize that sometimes there is not enough objective reporting. And that is why we do have the 54 corresponding show. You do find people who want to, give a negative stories and a negative connotation on all matters to do with Africa. But on the 54 corresponding show, we try to be as objective and also paint the actual image of the continent of Africa. In many cases, if you go to mainstream media, and especially even Hollywood, I believe, has also been involved in terms of contributing to this negative image of the continent of Africa. You do find people in hunger, people in poverty, people who are not educated, people who sort of their cultures have been painted as backward. But nonetheless, if you ever get the opportunity to come to Africa, then perhaps your perspective and view shall be enlightened regarding that particular matter. Of course, the topic for the day is really about Tanzania, and that is why we mentioned a little bit briefly about what has been happening with the caution that has been given to the Tanzanian people by the leader, the Tanzanian leader, who is the president. He goes by the name John Magufuli. He has told people to be very, very cautious about the use of the vaccines, and he said his own country shall not be importing that particular vaccines. He has told the health expert in Tanzania also to be very, very vigilant and also been involved in terms of doing their own research in their own country instead of just waiting and hoping, jumping on the bandwagon after Pfizer or Moderna has put up all these other vaccines. But nonetheless, I want to share with us what is happening in Nigeria. I believe this is also some kind of a positive story, I believe, because for a very, very long time, we are hearing about communities in different African countries not getting a fair share of the benefits that comes from the resources that their areas are endowed with. And what am I talking about? For example, if you go to Angola, a place like Cabinda, Angola is Africa's second largest producer of oil, and the oil predominantly comes from an area known as Cabinda, which is an exclave of Nigeria. And what you get to realize is that particular area, people are still living in poverty, which is really, really sad. And the contribution of that particular oil which they produce is not felt, in their own communities. But in Nigeria, people are trying to turn around this particular matter the host communities have been demanding 10% of Nigeria's oil wealth. They have been left behind in terms of development, whereas these are the same areas in which the oil is extracted from. The oil-rich communities have borne the brunt of the impact of the oil exploration and extraction on their lives and environment since the 1950s, when the oil was discovered in Balessia State. But of course, health and environmental impacts from the oil spills, as well as livelihoods, have been largely destroyed. But now they're trying to fight back, and they're demanding 10% equity shareholding. What has been found to be the case, not just even with the oil, not just even with the oil. There is also about the matter of other different resources. For example, there are communities who live near big parks in Africa. For example, the Masai Mara, the Masai Mara National Park. Of course, it's shared between Tanzania and Kenya. And what you get to realize is that these local communities do not really get the direct benefit of them being in these areas where they are, they are the same custodians of these parks. They are the same people who are looking after these particular animals, but they are not, once there is a demarcation of the reserves or the national parks, the neighboring communities have not felt the benefit, the direct benefit of these resources. But right now, I believe it gets to a point where we need to have conversations with the national government or with whomever authority, the authority of the day, to make sure that whatever kinds of places where we do have resources, for example, mining resources in the DRC, you do find that these communities in the near the mining resources, they are still living in abject poverty. But there should be a conversation where people also demand for shareholding or a stake of the benefits of whatever is being mined or whatever resource is also being found in these particular areas. You realize, for example, in a place like Sierra Leone, there were some diamond mines. There are some diamond fields. And what you get to realize is that the people in these particular areas where we do have the best diamonds in the world, and also in Botswana, among the different South African countries where we do find golds and diamond, these communities are still living in abject poverty. And there should be ways in which these communities are actually also empowered through the money or through the resources gotten from the sale of these resources that they do have. For example, some of the money that comes into the national government or comes into as a revenue for the government should be used in terms of developing schools and roads for these particular areas where these resources are to be found. And this is a kind of a conversation that is going on in Nigeria, where the host communities have decided that they want to get 10% of the stake in terms of the revenue coming in from the oil in Nigeria. And this is in the Bayelsa state. And of course, it's a good thing to see that there is a conversation going on. But this conversation has been going on for so long. I also do believe that the government has to be held accountable at the end of the day, because you cannot have just a few political elites benefiting the most. This is not just in Nigeria. Even if you go to Equatorial Guinea, Equatorial Guinea is also another West African country, and this was the only Spanish colony on the continent. What you realize is that Africa did not have, the Spaniards did not have colonies on the continent of Africa. They only did have one, which is Equatorial Guinea. And Equatorial Guinea, many people still living in abject poverty, while there is a lot of money coming into the country in terms of revenue from the oil sale. But this revenue is only shared out amongst a few individuals, whereas the rest of the population is actually suffering. There is a very big gap in terms of equality. There is a very big gap in equality gap, and this has to be addressed when we do have different communities also being involved and also being some of the stakeholders in these resources that they do provide. But of course, that will not happen just by a conversation, and that even goes further. You might be requesting for this for a very long time, but at the end of the day, nothing seemed to be changing, or nothing seemed really, to be changing, and your requests are not, falling on the right ears. Nothing is being done upon the request. But nonetheless, that is what is happening. I believe other different communities should also follow the same and engage the government in terms of also getting the investment also being put back into their own communities, whether be it minerals, whether be it the wildlife resources, whether all these other resources that are found on the continent of Africa. They should be fair and equitable sharing if at all the continent of Africa is to develop and get to a place where we are also competing fairly on the global stage. We are coming close to the end of the 54 correspondent issue, and I just want to thank everyone that has been with us. I hope that you have learned a thing or two about the continent of Africa, because that is the goal. And I hope that you also get to see a different light, a different dimension of the continent of Africa. Because like I said earlier, there are so many people trying to taint the image of the continent. You know, you'll find all negative stories, people hacking each other, tribal wars, everything else going wrong. But there are still some good things that we want to celebrate about Africa, and that is what we are about right here on the Black Hot Fire Network, giving you a different perspective, and not just a different perspective, but the right perspective about the beautiful continent of Africa. In case you do have some questions, some comments, some feedback you would like to share with me, I am open. My inbox is open, and my email is open. You can simply drop me an email, blackhotfireafrica@gmail.com, blackhotfireafrica@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. What are some of the topics that you would like us to cover on the Black Hot Fire Network 54 corresponding show? And of course, if you do have any questions or something that you would like us to research on your behalf in this particular continent or in this particular area, the East African area, we would be delighted really to be at your service. And General Mosquito, I haven't seen you for a minute. I thought you actually got your vaccine shot. I thought you were actually General Mosquito, I thought you actually took your vaccine shot, and that is why you were not able to join us on the broadcast. But nonetheless, we love and appreciate you. We do take your support very, very seriously on the Black Hot Fire Network, and it's a delight. I hope that you get to enjoy the rest of your day. This has been the 54 corresponding show on the Black Hot Fire Network. Make sure to join us on the Africa Today show. That happens later on in the day. And of course, like I said, I want to wish you a happy and productive one in all your endeavors. Make sure you get knowledge. I will leave you with one Namibian proverb. There is actually one Namibian proverb that is very, very correct. And it says, this particular proverb says, learning expands great souls. Learning expands great souls. I hope that you got that one correctly. It says that learning does expand your soul. And learning is a day-to-day thing. You know, you cannot just learn that. You learn daily. You know, learning is a daily process. And of course, that is a wise words of wisdom I want to leave you with. Learning expands great souls. I want to wish you a happy and productive remaining part of the day. Remember to keep optimistic and also keep a positive mind frame. You know, if you focus on the negative in your life, then everything else, the outcome will, of course, eventually be a negative. Also, if you do get some time, make sure you do get to exercise, get some bit of a physical exercise. Exercise your body and your mind. And knowledge, knowledge gets to flex your mind. And you're saying, please continue to provide information regarding the vaccines. I'm very thankful to learn that not all African nations are jumping the bandwagon and having the citizens vaccinated. Thank you so much, Sister Shenikwa Shakwan. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Thank you so much for being part of the Black Hot Fire Network. We value and appreciate you. I would love to know, where are you tuning from? Brother DM and also Sister Shenikwa, where are you guys tuning from? We would love to know what is happening with you guys and where you are actually tuning from, even as we come to the ending of this particular broadcast. Later on, we shall be having an interesting show, just like we had yesterday. The Africa Today show is a show not to miss. You know, it's really, really engaging and interactive. I keep on learning every day. You know, I get to learn what is happening with the world and also get to learn from everyone else because it's an interactive and an engaging show. And we are as one, you know, we are one as a Black people on that particular platform. You're saying all we know is the primary intent of the vaccines is to, you know, call the African, the Black population. Yes, it's true. Oh, you're saying that this is Sister Echo. Thank you so much, Sister Echo. It has been so long. Thank you so much. It has been so long. I was wondering where did that Sister Echo go to, but I hope that you are doing well. DM, you're saying that these. They are not vaccines. Phoenix, brother. Okay, you are in Arizona. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Sister Echo, it has been so long. It has been so long. You should actually just come back on and join us sometime when you are able to. I know duty calls, and I know that you are very, very busy, and of course, like the rest of the family. But it's a good thing to hear that you are still doing well. Have you taken a trip to Nigeria recently? I do not know whether you have taken a trip to Nigeria recently, but Nigeria is also on that particular platform. They are calling for they're asking for the vaccines with the COVAX program. I hope that the people wake up in Nigeria and stay away from these vaccines. Have a good day, Brother DM, all the way in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, and also Sister Shenikwa Echo is with us. And you send peace and greetings, Sister Echo. It has been so long since I heard from my Sister Echo, but I'm glad that she is doing well. General Mosquito, thank you so much. Like I said earlier, have yourselves an interesting and a productive day ahead.